You know, in a world that is always, and I mean always, asking us to pick a side, a recent meeting between two old friends sent a totally different message. This summit between the leaders of India and Russia? This was not just some routine diplomatic visit. Nope. It was a really powerful statement about a unique and, frankly, an enduring relationship.
And a quote that came out of the summit just perfectly captured the whole vibe of their bond. This idea of a pole star, that constant, reliable guide in a chaotic sky. It's the perfect metaphor for this relationship, and it's the central theme we're going to unpack right now.
All right, so let's start with the first and, honestly, the oldest pillar of this whole partnership, defense. For decades, this has been the absolute bedrock of their friendship, a trusty shield built on mutual reliance and years of cooperation.
Now, get a load of this number. It's staggering. Roughly 2/3, that's 66%, of India's entire military arsenal. We're talking tanks, jets, submarines, you name it, it all originated in Russia. This isn't just a random statistic. It's the very foundation of India's entire defense architecture.
So a huge focus of this meeting was keeping that foundation strong. Think of it like this. If you have a favorite, super reliable old car, you need to make sure you can still get the spare parts to keep it running smoothly, right? That's exactly what India was focused on, making sure that supply chain for all that crucial hardware is locked down and secure.
And the summit delivered some pretty significant agreements. First up, a promise for faster delivery of the S-400, which is basically an invisible shield for India's airspace. They also signed a new military logistics agreement called RELOS. Just think of it as a logistical handshake, making it way easier for their militaries to support each other when they're operating far from home.
And this right here, this shows the most fundamental shift in their defense relationship. It's an evolution. We're moving beyond a simple buyer-seller dynamic. India is changing from just purchasing weapons to becoming a real partner in co-production, building advanced military tech together on Indian soil. That's a huge deal.
Okay, let's move to our second pillar and see how this all connects to the economic side of things. Because while defense has been the foundation for ages, the economic relationship, especially when it comes to energy, has absolutely exploded, completely transforming the partnership in just the last few years.
This is where the geopolitics gets really interesting. So, after international sanctions hit, Russia desperately needed new markets for its oil. And who stepped in? India. They became a massive buyer of Russian crude and at discounted prices. It was a perfect win-win. Russia found a lifeline for its most critical export, and India got cheaper fuel for its economy and its people.
And this chart, wow, it just shows you the stunning result. Just look at that jump. Before 2022, their trade together was around $13 billion. Today, driven almost entirely by those energy deals, it has skyrocketed to over $68 billion. That is more than a five-fold increase in just a couple of years. Incredible.
And they're not even close to being done. The leaders have now set this really ambitious new target. Push that annual trade figure to a whopping $100 billion by 2030. But you might be wondering, hitting a target that huge isn't just about selling more oil. It brings up a really fascinating and complicated question. With sanctions making it hard to use US dollars, how do you actually pay for everything?
Well, the current workaround is to trade in their own currencies, so rupees and rubles. But this has created a major imbalance. Because India buys so much oil, you've got these huge piles of Indian rupees just sitting in Russian bank accounts with nowhere to go. So at the summit, the leaders agreed to tackle this head-on by developing a new financial system and by balancing the trade with new ventures, like joint nuclear power projects and faster shipping routes.
Okay, so this brings us to our third and final pillar, which, to be honest, is the most complex one. What does all of this mean for global politics? How does India manage this deep friendship with Russia while also building closer ties with the West? It's basically a masterclass in walking a geopolitical tightrope.
The core idea driving all of India's foreign policy is this concept called strategic autonomy. What is it? It's the ability to chart your own course, to make your own decisions based on your own interests. For India, it boils down to this: aiming to be everyone's friend, but no one's follower.
And here's what that balancing act looks like in the real world. On one hand, you have India getting closer and closer with the United States and being a key member of the Quad alliance. But on the other hand, it's maintaining its historic alliance with Russia and is a leading voice in the BRICS group of nations. India is a key player in competing teams all at the same time.
So, by hosting the Russian president at such a high-profile summit, India sent a message to the world that was impossible to miss. It was a crystal-clear signal that it's going to keep choosing its own path and nurturing its key relationships no matter what pressure it gets from any side.
And all of this is built on a shared vision. Both leaders talked about their desire for a multipolar world. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's a world where the global rules aren't dictated by just one or two superpowers, but where power is spread out more, giving rising nations like India a much bigger say in how the world is run.
So, let's pull it all together. What is the big takeaway from all of this? I think the most crucial point is that this is not some relationship stuck in the past, living on old glory. It is an enduring partnership that is actively and strategically expanding for the future.
So let's just trace this evolution one last time. The defense relationship, it's matured from just buying weapons to building them together. The economic relationship, it's grown from a simple, if massive, oil deal into a broad strategic partnership, with new trade routes and energy projects on the horizon. It all points to one thing. In a very fractured world, this pole-star partnership remains a steadfast and strategic constant.
And this leaves us with one final, and I think fascinating question to chew on. As global tensions keep rising and the world keeps demanding that nations pick a side, can India's strategy of being a friend to all and a follower of none really last? The answer to that question is going to shape the geopolitics of the 21st century.